Have you ever stopped to think about how many bones are holding you together right now? Like, really thought about it. Is it a small collection? Or maybe a massive framework? And do babies actually have more bones than adults? Or is that just one of those stories that sounds weird but turns out to be true? And here's something to chew on. Do we ever gain new bones? Or are we just slowly losing them like socks in the laundry? Well, hold on to your hat because your bones have a few surprises in store. If you're an adult, you've got 206 bones keeping everything in place. But fun fact, babies start life with about 270 bones. Yep, newborns come into the world with more bones than grown-ups. Seems weird, right? Shouldn't we be collecting more bones as we go through life, not shedding them? So what's happening here? Where do those extra 64 bones go? Do they just disappear like a magician's rabbit? Or is something else going on? Alright, so those extra bones, they don't just pull a disappearing act. What actually happens is fusion. No, not the cool sci-fi kind, just good old-fashioned bone merging. As babies grow, some of their bones team up, joining forces like superheroes forming a mega squad. The result? Fewer bones, but stronger ones. Take the skull, for example. Newborns come into the world with multiple separate skull bones, which is why their heads are a little, well, squishier than you'd expect. That's actually a design feature, not a flaw. It helps them squeeze through the birth canal and gives their rapidly growing brains some wiggle room. But as time goes on, those bones gradually fuse into a solid, protective dome. And it's not just the skull, other bones in the body do this too. So technically, babies don't lose bones. Their skeleton just goes through an epic team-building exercise. But here's a thought, once you hit adulthood, is 206 your final bone count? Or is there still room for some surprises? Turns out 206 isn't always the final number. Some people end up with extra bones. Yep, just when you thought the human body had a standard blueprint, biology throws in some bonus features. One of the most common extras, the sesamoid bones. These are tiny bones that develop inside tendons, usually in areas with a lot of stress, kind of like nature's way of reinforcing high-pressure zones. The kneecap or patella is actually the largest sesamoid bone, but some people develop smaller ones in their hands or feet. And here's the fun part, you could have more than the person sitting next to you and never even know it. Then there's the cervical rib, a little extra bone some people have at the base of their neck. It's rare, but it happens. And for some, it causes zero issues, while for others, it can press on nerves and cause discomfort. A literal pain in the neck. So yeah, while most adults rock the standard 206 bones, there are some folks walking around with a few extra. But wait, if extra bones are possible, is it ever possible to lose a bone? Like, straight up no longer have one? Believe it or not, losing a bone is actually a thing. And no, we're not talking about misplacing one like a set of keys. Some people are born missing certain bones, while others lose them over time due to changes in their bodies. Take the fibula, for example. It's a small sesame seed-sized bone found behind the knee, and here's where it gets weird. Some people have it, some don't, and its existence seems to be evolving. 100 years ago, it was disappearing from the human body, but in recent decades, it's actually made a comeback. Scientists aren't totally sure why, but it's like nature decided to bring it back for an encore. Then there's the case of the fibula, the sidekick of the lower leg bones. Some people are actually born without it, a rare condition called fibular hemimelia, and in extreme cases, doctors may even remove a fibula to correct a leg length discrepancy. But here's the kicker, you can still walk just fine without it. It's kind of like realizing one of your shoelaces was missing, yet somehow your shoes stayed on just fine. So yes, while most of us stick to the 206 bone standard, the human skeleton isn't as set in stone as you'd think. But here's something even wilder. Your bones aren't just passive structures holding you up. They're actually alive. Yep, your bones are alive. They're not just lifeless scaffolding holding you together. They're constantly working, adapting, and honestly pulling more weight than they get credit for. Think of them like a construction crew that never clocks out. Inside your bones, tiny cells are in a constant cycle of breaking down old material and replacing it with new. This process, called remodeling, helps keep your skeleton strong and responsive to your body's needs. It's basically home improvement, but without the overpriced contractors. And bones aren't just structure, they're also secret hoarders. They store important minerals like calcium and release them when your body's running low, acting like a built-in emergency supply closet. Need a little extra calcium? Your bones have got you covered. But here's the wildest part. Your skeleton today isn't the same one you had a decade ago. Your body has been slowly swapping out old bone cells for new ones, meaning you're basically walking around in a remastered version of yourself. New bones, same you. So if bones are constantly replacing themselves, does that mean they can heal when they break? And if so, how do they pull off that magic trick? Turns out, bones are pretty good at fixing themselves. Not instantly, of course. It's not like snapping a pencil and watching it magically glue itself back together. But given time, bones do know how to handle a little damage control. Here's how it works. When a bone breaks, your body treats it like an emergency repair job. First, blood rushes to the area, forming a clot to protect the site and kickstart healing. Then, special bone cells get to work, building a temporary bridge of soft tissue, kind of like scaffolding at a construction site. Over time, that soft tissue hardens into new bone, patching up the break. And just to flex on us a little, sometimes the healed bone is stronger than it was before. Of course, the process isn't instant. A broken bone can take weeks or months to fully heal, depending on the injury. And while you're stuck waiting, you might notice your muscles getting weaker or your skin feeling weird under that cast. Because while your bone is working overtime to heal, the rest of you is just along for the ride. But the fact that your body can repair solid bone at all, pretty impressive. But here's a fun twist. Your bones might be able to heal themselves, but they can't feel pain. So why does breaking one hurt so much? Well, the bone itself might not be able to complain, but the things around it sure can. Bones are wrapped in a thin, protective layer called the periosteum, which does have nerves, and those nerves do not appreciate sudden trauma. On top of that, when a bone breaks, it usually drags surrounding muscles, ligaments, and blood vessels into the chaos, setting off a whole symphony of pain signals. Basically, your body isn't just mad about the break, it's mad about everything that went down in the process. And that swelling that shows up after an injury, that's your body's way of rolling out the red carpet for the healing process. It rushes fluid and immune cells to the area, which is great for recovery, but not great for your comfort level. But here's where it gets even stranger. Some people don't even realize they've broken a bone right away. Adrenaline can mask the pain, which is why you hear stories of athletes finishing a game on a fractured leg or someone walking around on a broken foot like it's no big deal. Eventually, though, reality definitely catches up. That constant breakdown and rebuilding is impressive, but it does raise a question. How many times can bones go through that cycle? Is there a limit, or do they just keep refreshing like an endless warranty? As it turns out, your bones do have a limit. Even though they're constantly renewing themselves, they can't keep going indefinitely. The process of bone remodeling is incredible, but it does slow down as we get older. That's why kids and teens have such strong, resilient bones. They're in the middle of rapid remodeling, which is why they seem to bounce back from injuries so easily. But as you hit your 30s and beyond, your body starts taking longer to replace old bone cells with new ones, and that's when things like osteoporosis can start to pop up. Now, that doesn't mean you're doomed to brittle bones forever. There are plenty of ways to keep your bones strong, like eating enough calcium, staying active, and making sure you get enough vitamin D. And even though your bones won't stay the same forever, you can still help them last as long as possible. It's not just age, your daily habits affect your bones too. Weight-bearing exercises like walking, running, or even dancing keep your bones strong. But if you're sitting too much, your skeleton might start thinking it's on vacation. Also, that sugary dessert. It's sweet for your taste buds, but too much sugar can cause your body to lose calcium, leaving your bones high and dry. And while 1 or 2 drinks might be fine, regular heavy drinking messes with calcium absorption, increasing your fracture risk. So, your bones need more than just good intentions. They need action and care. So, what's the good news? You don't have to be perfect to keep your bones in top shape. A little movement, some smart food choices, and moderation in all things can help you keep your bones strong for years to come. If you enjoyed learning about the amazing world of bones and want to keep your own skeleton happy, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating health and medical breakdowns. Click the bell to get notified whenever we post a new video. We appreciate your support. Speaking of bones, we've talked about some surprise bones showing up where they weren't invited, but what if you could choose? If you could add an extra bone anywhere in your body, totally pain-free, where would it be and why? We're curious to hear your creative ideas, so drop them in the comments. And here's some information you probably didn't know you needed. Check out this video right here.